What are the best Christmas movies? That's what we're going to discuss on today's episode. Hey, it's me, AP, and welcome to the Saturday Movie Show. I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday, everyone. This is the movie show where we deep dive into different movie topics each and every Saturday. And today is no different, and today's topic of choice is best Christmas movies. I'm going to be selecting 4 Christmas movies today, ladies and gents. 4 of my favourite Christmas movies in this festive edition of the Saturday Movie Show. It's going to be a very fun topic for the headline topic today. I can't wait to deep dive in to those 4 movies later in the show. But before we get into the headline topic today, we start off every show with a section of the show called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. This is the part of the show where we ease into things and talk about what's going on with the channel, and it's just a general easy discussion to just ease us into the rest of the show. I'm using easy way too many times. Let's get into this. Not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for this week. What has been going on with the channel? First of all, we had today. This is a bit of a late release, a late show release. Normally, I'd record them either a day before. Sometimes, past couple of weeks, I've been recording them on the Saturdays, but early on. I've been working earlier on in my day job, and it's a bit of a later start to doing this show, so I'm hoping this doesn't come out too late. I hope it doesn't get into Sunday territory. But the reason why I'm late, to be honest, I was going to do it yesterday, but I wanted to watch all the movies, and I was doing filming earlier on in the week on my days off and stuff like that, and yesterday I decided, you know what, I want to just watch all these movies because I need to refresh on them all. I do this most of the time, but these are ones what I've not seen in ages, so I really did need to watch them. So I didn't get a chance yesterday. So yesterday I watched 4 of these movies for today's Saturday Movie Show. And I watched a bit of one this morning as well, just because I was falling asleep watching one of them. Not because it's bad, just because I was just so tired yesterday. But that is why this one is a bit late today in the day. So it's kind of like a late night edition of the Saturday Movie Show. I mean, maybe in different parts of the world, it's quite early on. I suppose if you're in the US, I think we're a bit ahead, I believe, or I'm not too sure. I'm sure we're ahead of the US. I think they get up a few hours before after us here in the UK. But anyway, that's the quick reasoning to why it's a bit of a later show today. Anyway, new video this past week on the channel. I released a video this past week on Thursday. We do videos every Thursday and Saturday on the channel. This Thursday's video was movies I watch every single year. And it was a really fun video to do. It was just one, I was thinking of topics, and this is just, I thought it was a cool topic because there's tons of different movies I watch each and every year, and there was some really solid choices in there. And it spawned the conversation with the rest of the community as well, discussing which movies you out there would watch every single year. So that was a fun video to do. We got a lot of engagement on that, which was really cool. So thank you very much for getting involved and watching that video. Let's see, what else is on this week? As I said, the reason why I'm doing this a bit of a late show today, I've been filming a bit of content this week. Feel like I got back into the true rhythm of things. I filmed 4 weeks worth of videos this week, edited them all out as well, which is really good. So the 4 weeks worth signed, sealed, and delivered. That is all done and dusted, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Moving over to the Patreon side of things, so we have Patreon. We have an audio podcast, bonus podcast going on there, bonus videos each and every month, and webcomics we do as well. I will be filming the video for Patreon for December over the next couple of days, and I'll also be doing the podcast edition. The podcast edition is going to be a coffee and movie broadcast, and it will be a summary of this year's movies. And I'm going to try and look at every single month a movie, my favourite movie for each and every month on the coffee and movie broadcast for this month's bonus pod. So that's going to be fun as well. But if you're interested in getting involved in Patreon, I think the lowest tier is $1. You pay $1 a month and you get access to a load of bonus content, videos, as I said, on audio podcasts. I think we've got like 12 months worth or so around that mark anyway of the bonus podcast over on Patreon. But links below if you're interested in that. If you want a bit of extra content, don't feel like you have to. It's there, as I always say with Patreon stuff, it's there as an extra if you are interested. But that is what's coming up on the Patreon side of things. What else has been going on? Well, let's see. I've announced it, I mentioned it last week and the week before, about doing every 3 months we do a pay-per-view month, and this is the pay-per-view month for the year, for this month. So on this, we normally do quizzes. We've done like the short film and stuff previously, so I am going to go back to a quiz. Now, here's where we're at now. We've got a bit more of a solid idea of what I'm going to do for the quiz anyway. So it's going to be a Christmas quiz. I was looking at the Sunday. It was going to be the Sunday the 19th. I've decided, though, to go, because we're going to do the last Saturday movie show, which is going to be next Saturday. I've decided that Sunday, we're going to have a break on Sunday of content, and we're going to go for Monday. Monday the 20th of December is going to be, mark your calendars if you're free, Monday the 20th of December is going to be a Christmas movie quiz on the channel. We've done these before, these movie quizzes. It's going to be related to a few different movies, so it's not going to be one select movie. But it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to doing it as the quizmaster. There's still going to be little things I'm deciding on how to, certain segments. I don't know whether I'm going to get people involved live on air. It just depends if I can get people if I can get people to record at the same time. It just depends, yeah. If not, it'll just be me as a solo quizmaster. I just need to plan out a few more logistics of it and suss out what we're doing. But that's going to be the quiz. Monday the 20th of December, probably hitting around some point during that day. I'm not too sure what time it's going to hit. Probably early on in the day, more than likely. What else is going on? Quick, let's just end it all. We have got 2 more things. As I said, last show next week of the year. That'll be the last show. And it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun Saturday movie show, and I'm looking forward to doing it. I think I've got an idea of what the topic is going to be. I won't mention it just yet, but it's going to be looking at. I'll probably give it away if I say I can't really tease it. Well, we'll find out next week. We'll find out where it's going to be. It's going to be a fun show. I think it's going to be fun anyway. You'll like it. You'll be watching it next week. You'll be like, oh, this is dire. This is a dire show. Yeah. So it is next week, the last one of the year, and then we're going to have a quick break over Christmas, maybe 2 or 3 week break, and then we're going to hit back with a new and improved Saturday movie show. Everything changes in 2022. And what else is going on? And just a quick one. The World Movie League, I know we've not had a few episodes for a while. It has not been thrown away. It's not been recycled. Rest assured, it's just one of those where other video ideas have come up in the meantime over the past couple of weeks, and it is just being paused for the moment. Hopefully it'll be coming back this week, if not the week after. It will be coming back to the World Movie League for episode 3. Rest assured, I'm looking forward to doing more World Movie League episodes on the channel. But anyway, that is it for today's not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping. Let's move on to the headline topic. So, the headline topic of today's show is Best Christmas Movies, ladies and gents. And this is one... Let me first of all say, I'm not a big Christmas movie fan. I give or take them. Do you know what I mean? It's, I watch them over Christmas, but for me, even over Christmas, still, I would much prefer just watching a standard movie. I wouldn't go out my way to watch them. So this has been an interesting one for me. I wouldn't say, like I said, I'm not an all-out on Christmas movies, but I've picked these 4 today because I think these are ones what I've watched before and I've enjoyed, and on the rewatch, I've also enjoyed them as well as movies to watch over the Christmas period. So the first movie I'm going to start off with is Santa Claus the movie. This is not to be confused with the Santa Claus that stars, what's his name? Tim Allen. Buzz Lightyear's Tim Allen. It's not a movie. It's the Santa Claus the movie, 1985 release, starring Dudley Moore. This was... Dudley Moore played an elf in this, played the elf Patch. So released in 1985. This also stars John Lithgow as another notable cast member in this. He stars as the villain in this. And we have Patch, the good elf, who's basically the summary of the story. It's like the origin story of Santa Claus or Father Christmas. Over here, I might sort of like go between Santa Claus and Father Christmas. Over here in the UK, when I was a kid, we'd always call him Father Christmas. I noticed a lot of kids now call, even here in the UK, go with the name of Santa Claus rather than Father Christmas. If I drift between Father Christmas and Santa Claus, just so you know, I'm saying about the same guy who brings us presents on Christmas morning. So it's kind of like an origin to start off with this movie, the Santa Claus movie of Father Christmas, and it starts off with this guy who's Uncle Claus, and he's going around in his sleigh. He has no magical powers, and then he gets stuck in a snowstorm with his wife. Wife Claus, I can't remember what her name is in the story. It's a very British cast, this though. The majority of this cast is British. I mean, apart from like John Lithgow, it seems like a very British cast and a British. A lot of they sound British, but it's set in America, so it's a bit of a weird one. But it's a fun movie. So you get this origin story. Then the elves come to Father Christmas, Santa Claus, in this snowstorm, and they take him into the North Pole, and they name him Santa Claus, and then that is where he gets a new suit, he gets a red suit, he gets the magical reindeer. His reindeer get magical powers so they can fly, and then he gets given the gift. It's like a prophecy that he is Santa Claus, and that he will deliver presents to all the children of the world in one night using they will eat. Basically, he can manipulate time. He just gets extended time over Christmas Eve to deliver it to every child. And it's a really cool story. And basically the story is then you've got Dudley Moore, his elf is Patch, and he's like this really industrious, creative elf who works on like inventing toys, works on the sleigh. And he messes up at some point, and then he decides to go to New York in present time in the 80s. And then he gets a job working with this toy salesman who is played by John Lithgow, the villain of the piece. And they invent something, things go pear-shaped, and then the story sort of unfolds from there without spoiling too much. But it is a great story. Dudley Moore is great in this. The guy who plays Santa Claus is great. What I will say as well, two massive pluses for me in this are, first of all, the score. The music is just, I'm tapping my feet. I'm listening to this, and it's like Christmas music, a Christmas score with like these like trumpets, jingle bells, everything going on when the elves are in the North Pole, and it's so it's tapping your foot music. It's dead jolly. You're smiling. It gives you an uplifting feel when you're watching this movie. If you've watched this, let me know your thoughts. If you feel the same way I do, or if you watch this, let me know your thoughts on the music. I think the music is outstanding. I checked it out because I wasn't sure whether it was like a John Williams soundtrack, but it was some composer I've never heard of before. I can't remember his name now, but it wasn't a notable one in my head. I'm a big fan of music scores in general. I do like listen to, I don't really listen to bands anymore. For me, if I go on Spotify, it's listening to like a score, a film score or something like that. That's all I listen to, and podcast. That's for me, done and dusted. But the score was phenomenal. I really enjoyed the score. I think it was really great and magical. What the other plus point as well for me would be is, I mean, great cast, great story throughout of this Santa Claus movie. But the set of the North Pole, I'd say 80% of the movie is set in the North Pole. And it's, the construction of the toys, the origin of Santa Claus. And the set is, it looks like a painting at first, like the big long shot of the North Pole, all the houses. And then it zooms in and we get closer, but then we go inside the set and we see the toy shop. We see where the reindeers are left. And it's so beautiful, the set. It's like a practical set, and it looks massive. Maybe it was just a bit of camera trickery, but they made this really large feeling set of the North Pole, and I think it is absolutely stunning to look at. Another thing as well is the costumes and the animatronics of the reindeers. The reindeers, like all animatronics or puppets. I think there's definitely some animatronics there, but they look fantastic. And the costumes, the elves all look great. And the Santa Claus costume is superb as well. But it's a really fun movie. It's definitely one for all the family, this Santa Claus movie. I don't know whether it's like one what is a bit of an underrated movie. I know it's one I watched as a kid, and I had like sort of very small memories of certain scenes of this as a kid, but I really enjoyed it. I remember the scenes where there's like a little there's a lad who is on the streets. He's homeless, and this young girl who gives him food and stuff like that. I remember those scenes as a kid, and I remember bits with Patch and with Santa Claus as well. But there was a lot of the story I didn't really realize. John Lithgow, I couldn't even remember him in the story. But tell you what, right? John Lithgow is a great actor, and I think a lot of people would know him from like Harry and the Hendersons and like he's been in tons of things, hasn't he? He's in was it 30 Rock from the Sun, was it, or something like that series. He makes a great villain. He's a great villain in this, really kind of like a cheesy villain. But I look at him, he was in Cliffhanger as the villain as well, and he was brilliant in that. He was like a Die Hard like villain. He felt like a similar type of villain to the Die Hard movies in that one. But yeah, John Lithgow is great. He can do good roles. He can work as the good guy, and he can also crush it as the bad guy. John Lithgow, he is great in this. Fantastic film. As I said, Dudley Moore shines through as a really great member of the cast as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's a great Christmas movie to start off this list of best Christmas movies. So now we are on to movie number 2. And movie number 2 is a movie that was released in 2000. A long time ago now. 21 years. This is weird, but the movie is The Grinch, also known as the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, or is it How the Grinch Stole Christmas? I know it's called that. Here in the UK, it was always called The Grinch, to my knowledge. It's a Ron Howard movie, the Ron Howard version, and it starred Jim Carrey in the main role as the Grinch. I know there has been I think there was like an animated one in the 80s, was it, or the 90s? And was it based on a book by Dr. Seuss? I'm pretty sure it was based on a book originally, and I know there has been the Benedict Cumberbatch version that came out only a few years ago. I've not really seen that much of the new one, but I've heard good things. I heard it's meant to be a really fun movie. It's one I'm going to have to check out. But I think the overall basis of all these films, it's the same story throughout. It's the same How the Grinch Stole Christmas story, and this is no different, but it is a very fun story. So this is a movie that's set in this fictional town of Whoville, and it's the Whovians, I think they're called, and they celebrate, getting ready for Christmas, and there's this character called the Grinch who is like this green-covered beast played by Jim Carrey, and he lives in the mountains. He was a part of the community, part of the town, until he got sort of shunned away because they all laughed at him because the way he looks completely different to the rest of them in the town. They were all mean to him, and then he just wants to ruin Christmas and be a miserable old Scrooge. He's like scratching. He's got like onions, and he's wiping like onions on his armpits and stuff. He smells and stuff, and I think, you look at the Grinch and the makeup of this. First of all, the costume, you wouldn't even know it was Jim Carrey. It is mad to look at when you look at it. It could be any actor, but then you see the performance shine through of like that 90s Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura role. I think he's great in the role of the Grinch. He's really, really funny in that role. The basis of the story is, he wants to ruin Christmas for them all, and, he tries to ruin it, but then in the end, he becomes good. He does the right thing, and it's a really nice ending to the story. And I like it. I think it's a fun, family, entertaining movie. The main two roles are the Cindy Lou, the young girl, and the Grinch. They are the main two characters. I think some of the funny bits are the dog. I like the dog. The dog just does so many, deadpan moments. It's a real dog. It doesn't say anything. It's not like a talking dog. But there's so many like deadpan moments that the dog does, and it works great. And the dog's just looking at the Grinch, and like it'll pull a lever down, and the Grinch will fall down a hole or something like that. The Grinch is great though. The scene as well when he's in his cave and he's like, "You're stupid," and he's got there's like an echo going on, and he's like, "I hate Christmas," and he goes, "I hate Christmas," and he says, "I hate you," and he's like, "I hate you," and he's like, "You smell," and he's like, "You." He says, "I smell," and then he says, "You smell." It's something like that. I butchered it, but it's something like that. It's just dead silly and stupid. He does a prank call as well, which reminds me of like early episodes of The Simpsons. And he's like, "Did you know your refrigerator's running out?" And the guy says, I didn't know that." And he said, "Well, you should go and chase it then." And he just starts laughing to himself, and it's just so silly and like funny. But it, like I said, it reminds me of that juvenile humor of like The Simpsons, the early Simpsons. There's some sort of stuff, a lot of stuff like that, I would say, in this movie. Some silly moments, and the Grinch is a great character. He just flip flops from being this like really like, it reminds me like a penguin. The origin story, and the story feels like the Penguin from Batman at times, but he's a bit more humorous than the Penguin. It's a great movie, really fun movie. I enjoyed the rewatch. I had a lot of fun watching this, and it's Mr. Grinch, some good music in this. Ron Howard done us all proud with the Grinch movie, released in 2000. Now, let's move to the third movie of today's show, and we move 3 years forward. Here we go to 2003, and this is a movie directed by Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau, superb director. He is 10 out of 10 in my book. I think he's a great director, Jon Favreau. This stars Will Ferrell, James Caan, and Zoe Deschanel. It is the movie Elf. That is correct, Elf. I mentioned this in last week's show for movies for the weekend, and I thought, doing best Christmas movies, I can't not have this. This is one I've watched over the years. I've probably only watched it a handful of times, but I rewatched it yesterday again for the show to get it all fresh in my memory, and I had a blast. I had an absolute blast watching this. The basis of the story is this human child is in an orphanage as a baby. He sneaks into Santa Claus's sack on Christmas Eve. Santa brings him back to the elves at the North Pole, and they adopt him. One of the elves, Papa Elf, adopts Buddy the elf, Buddy the human, and he's then known as Buddy the elf. And he grows up as this human, living with elves and living with Santa Claus. And he's been brought up as an elf, but he's this, Will Ferrell plays the main role of Buddy the elf. He's this giant-sized man, and you got all these elves, and he realizes he's different. He can't do the things that normal elves can do. He's really bad at building toys. He can't do it that as quick as the other elves. And then is revealed early on in the movie that they sort of talk behind his back, and then he's like, has he not realized that he's a human by now? And then the story goes from there. Buddy wants to go to New York City in present time to find his real father, played by James Caan. The story unfolds from there, and we get this really funny story. We get a really good romance as well between Zoe Deschanel and Will Ferrell's character as well in this. It's just a fun movie, Elf. Some of my favourite scenes. Let's talk about this. First of all, I would say when he arrives in New York, he gets warned about this. There's like the chewing gum that's left behind on lampposts and stuff like that. He sees this chewing gum, he's trying it out, and he's just keeping on putting this chewing gum in his mouth, and he's like, it's like free candy. I think a lot of people would say the scene with Peter Dinklage in as well. Peter Dinklage is this character who is like this top children's writer brought in by James Caan, character who run this children publishing book business. And then Will Ferrell's character comes in, and he says, "I didn't realise there was elves here working here, Dad." And he's like, "You're very funny." He's like, "You're very funny, aren't you?" And then he keeps on saying, mentioning elves, and then Peter Dinklage's character is like, "Call me elf one more time." And then he says, he's a nasty elf, or he's a naughty elf. And then Peter Dinklage's character just jumps on the table, runs towards Buddy the elf, and starts beating him to a pulp. It's not that bad. But it's just a funny scene in a great, funny movie. The burp scenes are great. I love the scenes as well at the end where everyone is singing the Christmas songs. I think that is a really fun scene. And the chase within the park at the end where all the horses are chasing Santa Claus on the sleigh. It's just a really magical Christmas movie. Oh, when as well, right? when Buddy's says to the Santa Claus in the children's grotto, he's like, "You're not Santa Claus. He's a fake. Don't tell him. Don't tell." That is another great scene. Then Santa Claus attacks Buddy the Elf. I think what is great about this is Will Ferrell's performance is a typical Will Ferrell, but he just seems so like childlike in it. His mannerisms. He just seems so like happy and just so childlike, friendly, happy-go-lucky sort of guy in this. Buddy the Elf. He's like smiles about anything, and he says that in the film. He's like, I just like smiling, and he's just an overly happy person that no one could rock the boat with. This guy, he is just perfect for the role. I know I read somewhere that he got offered like over like $100 million to do an Elf sequel, and he refused it. He didn't want to do it. I think this for me would be one and done. I think a sequel would only spoil the magic of this first brilliant movie. I don't think you need a sequel. I think it is perfect as it is. But Elf is my third choice on Christmas movies today. Well worth checking out if you've not already. But now we move on to the fourth and final choice of today's show of best Christmas movies. What is my fourth and final choice? Well, we're going to take a little back track year-wise. We're going to go to 1992 now, and I think this would be a choice for a lot of people because it is such a classic Christmas movie. I mean, you could definitely say you could watch it at any time of the year, but I think for me, I generally watch these movies at Christmas. But it is the second Home Alone movie, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Superb film, 1992. So it sees Kevin McAllister, the kid from the first movie, played by Macaulay Culkin, return to the role, and this time they're going on a family trip, but he, instead of going to Miami with the rest of the family, he gets on the wrong plane, goes to New York, and it ends up in New York, new setting, but then he ends up coming across Harry and Marv from the first movie, the two criminals, who were initially known as the Wet Bandits, but now they are the Sticky Bandits. Let me get that correct. The Sticky Bandits, ladies and gents. Then, basically, they are robbing toy shops. He works out the robbing toy shops throughout this movie, and then we get like sort of the end moment where they go to his uncle's house. They fall into the uncle's house because Kevin leads them there because he wants to get them done for this crime of stealing the toy shop. And then we get the same routine as the first movie where they go into the house and it's a house of horrors. Kevin is taking them down one by one, and it's a great story, a great story indeed. So let me talk about some of my fun moments of this movie. I think a lot of the scenes, what it adds from the first movie is the addition of this hotel. So throughout the story, when he gets there in New York, he's reported missing, but he doesn't care, this kid. Kevin McAllister doesn't care. He's quite happy being home alone in a big city on his own without his family. He goes to this Plaza Hotel, and we got Tim Curry is like the manager there, and we got Rob Schneider as well, who's playing like one of the workers at this hotel. Tim Curry is fantastic in the role as this evil manager of this hotel, but he's so silly and he's got some great comedy scenes. I think the comedy scene at the end where there's two with Tim Curry when he goes into the shower and he's got like the talk boy, and he thinks that like he's seen Kevin's dad in the shower and he feels like just ashamed of himself, and then Kevin gives him a big time dressing down. That is a great scene. I think the scene at the end as well when he's escaping the hotel and Tim Curry, Rob Schneider, a few of the other members of the hotel go up into the room, and he plays that the famous movie from the first movie again, and it's like, I caught you last night. You were here, and you were smooching my brother, and he's like, I wasn't smooching anyone, and that is just that scene where he's like, you were smooching Mo, Mickey, Cliff, and then there's a security guard called Cliff with them all when he's naming out these names. He's doing it with the recorder with the VHS, and this guy called Cliff, he looks at his badge and he goes, it's not me. It wasn't true. And that is just I love that scene. It's just hilarious. A great comedy moment. But then we move to the house where they're going to break in. First of all, Kevin throws these bricks down at them, and they hit Marv every time, and it is just I can't keep from laughing when I'm watching that. Even though I've seen it a million times, I just love it. I think it's great. Another bit, I think one of the other things at the house, what I really like is, so Marv. Marv is, for me, is the guy with the hair. You got Joe Pesci and you got the other character of Marv. I can't remember the actor's name. And he goes into the house, and Kevin has removed the floorboards, and he doesn't realise, and he shouts out to Harry, to Joe Pesci's character, "Harry, I've reached the top." And he thinks he's at the top of the house, he's got into the house, and then he doesn't realise there's no floorboards in front of him. He walks forward, and he falls like 2 flights of stairs down to the basement, and it's just a great moment. And I just love... I mean, I've watched some of the other Home Alones, and the third one is not that bad. I've watched a more recent one, and they just can't compare to the villains and the main character of the kid, Kevin McAllister, in this. They're uncomparable. They are just so... it's night and day. There's just like 100 times better in this movie. They just make the movie. The dynamics between the villains and the kid, it just works spectacularly in this movie. So Home Alone 2 is my last final choice for today's episode of the headline topic for best Christmas movies. I am happy with those picks. If you've not checked out any of those picks though, check them out for Christmas. So now the headline topic is over for today's show. We now move on to the section of the show called Movies for the Weekend, and I have got 2 movie recommendations for this weekend for you all, ladies and gents. The first one I'm going to give is, these are very much Christmas-themed movies. First of all, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger in Jingle All the Way. I will say this one is one I've rewatched, and I didn't have the best impression. So I am going to watch this again. I watched it like a year or 2 ago, and I loved this as a kid. Turbo Man, it was just fantastic. I loved watching this as a kid. It was so much fun. But I rewatched it in recent years, and I didn't get the same reaction as I did as a kid. So I'm going to give it another rewatch and see if my opinion has changed on this movie. So that is one recommendation for this weekend. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. Next up, we have one more choice for movies for the weekend. This is a really fun British movie starring Hugh Grant, Rachel Weisz, and Nicholas Hoult as the kid in About a Boy. This is years old now, but I've always enjoyed this film. I think it's a really fun movie. Well worth checking out. A really good British movie. One of Hugh Grant's best movies, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like Love Actually and a lot of the other ones he was in, Notting Hill and stuff like that. I think About Boy is such a good movie. Stars Hugh Grant. His dad was like this guy who wrote this one Christmas single, and he's just living off the royalties. He doesn't work. And then he takes in this like young boy, and he sort of like becomes his like mentor in life. And it's a really good story, and it's like the story of his life as this single guy in relationships and stuff. And I think it's a really good story, a nice uplifting story, a fun story to watch over the Christmas period. So they are the movie recommendations for today's edition of the Saturday Movie Show. So now we move on to another section of the show, and that is the Amazon Top 10. This is the part of the show where we look at the Amazon Top 10 of bestsellers for DVD, 4K, and Blu-ray. I must say the list has not changed that much over the past couple of weeks. It's kind of stayed steady over the Christmas, leading up to the Christmas period. First of all, we start off with at number 10, something I would never watch, but some people obviously do because it's a bestseller. And that is Strictly Come Dancing, Motzi and Anton's Strictly the Best, released in 2021, and that is $9.99. That is released, that's number 10. We move to number 9. It is Disney's Cruella DVD release. Number 8, we have The Crown Season 4 DVD release. After that, we have number 7, Fast and Furious 9 on DVD. Number 6, we have the Black Widow movie on DVD. Number 6. Number 5, we have Harry Potter, the complete 8-film collection. Superb collection of movies. And I know I think they've got like a new documentary on Harry Potter. All the cast returning. I think it's like is it like 10 years on or 15 years on from the last film? So that'll be cool to watch. I know they had a teaser of the new Secrets of Dumbledore movie as well, The Fantastic Beasts. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. I think it's next year. So that's at number 5. Number 4, we have No Time to Die on 4K. We have at number 3, Cliff Richard, The Great 80s Tour on DVD. Again, not something I would personally watch, but it's on there. On Blu-ray, we have No Time to Die. Again, No Time to Die is just is it's top of the charts every week. This movie is killing it. I think it's a really good movie because at number one, No Time to Die DVD release as well. 3 different releases, DVD, 4K, Blu-ray, totally dominating the charts, the bestseller charts on Amazon currently. I think it's going to be like that until the release. I think it's released next week, I think it is, or maybe this week. That is going to be a big, big release, and I know a lot of people will be looking forward to watching that again on physical. But that is the Amazon Top 10 over for today's show. Now we move on to the final section of today's show, and that is what's been on the screen. What's been on the screen, ladies and gents? So, first of all, I will say I have watched the release of the new Sonic trailer, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it looked entertaining. It looked very, exciting. It looked like an exciting movie. It looked like very much a similar mold of what the first movie was, but it just expanded on the characters. We got some new additions as well. So Tails, the character of Tails, is in this movie. We've also got the addition of Knuckles in this movie. So I believe Tails is being played by I think it's the actress who is in like the games or in the TV shows over the past couple of years. That is the actress who's going to be playing Tails. And the actor who is playing Knuckles is Idris Elba, which is a great choice in my opinion. I think he's a really good actor, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in this. So it looks as though, what I remember, Knuckles is like a friend of Sonic and Tails in the games. So in this, it looks as though he's starting off as like this villainous character, like a henchman for Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey. And I imagine by the end of the movie, Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic are all going to team up against Eggman and take him down. And it looks great. I love the look of Eggman. Eggman, where he ended at the movie, where he's got the big mustache and he's got the bald head. I think it looks great. I thought Jim Carrey was really good in the start of this, in this first movie. You think how far we come on from them initial Sonic trailers, the original look. I didn't think it looked awful. I thought it was okay, but I think it does look 10 times better. Now, it looks more accurate to what we all know Sonic to look like. It did seem weird that they would make him look very different from what we all know him as. So it was always nice to see the change in that from that initial trailer. But I think that movie did really, really well, especially over a time where the past two or so years have been really crazy with what's been going on in the world. So it done really well, that movie. I am looking forward to this. It's coming out next year in April, so not long to go until this release. I think it's just going to be an exciting, family, entertaining movie to watch. I think it's going to give us all of the delights of the first movie and just give us plenty of more great moments in this story. So I'm looking forward to that Sonic 2 trailer. If you're not checked it out, check it out. Let me know your thoughts on that. What I will say, I've been watching also again the Cowboy Bebop animated show. I mentioned this last week. I'm still having a lot of fun watching this, and I thought I'd bring it up again because they have announced that the live action version of this, which is on Netflix, has been cancelled. And I'm kind of disappointed about that. What is also with me, I'm kind of in my mind, right? So the animated show had one season, 26 episodes, I believe, and it had an animated spin-off movie as like I don't know if it's related or you can watch it individually. So I don't know what the premise of the movie is, if it's just a sequel or whatnot. But we only ever got the one series of the animated show, and I imagine the Cowboy Bebop live action show, they had ideas for doing like a sequel and another series of it and a few more series. I don't know what they were going to do with the story, whether it's going to follow what the original series had or it was going to go in its own direction. Who knows? But I'm having a lot of fun with that, but I'm kind of disappointed because I've been getting into the show, the animated show, and then I watched the trailer for the live action show, and I thought it looked amazing. It looked great. The cast looked like they looked so good. I mean, when you compare them to the animated show, I feel like they were the right fit. Obviously, I've not watched the show, so maybe the trailer doesn't. It shows them in a great light, and then you watch the series, and it's not that good. But I was really looking forward to it, and I will still watch it. I'm still going to watch the live action show once I've watched the animated one because I'm really having a lot of fun watching the Cowboy Bebop show. But it's just a bit disappointing that they I suppose it's a thing with shows like this, unless it's like a Star Wars, like a Mandalorian or a Marvel show, it's really has got to kick off straight away and be a ultimate success, or like a Game of Thrones. Otherwise, if it doesn't get the viewing figures, they just scrap it, and it is unfortunate. I mean, another one I've still not watched the second part of it, and I said to my friend Sean in the community here, Sean Quarterman, Media Collector Madness. Check out his channel. But we were discussing the other day, just like texting each other the other week, and he said he's watched the Masters of the Universe Revelation show. He's watched the second part of it. I really enjoyed the first part, and I've still not got around to watching it, but I don't know whether that has been cancelled or whatnot. I know it had really bad reviews, the first part of it, but it wouldn't shock me if it did get cancelled, and it'd be disappointing because I think so many great shows get cancelled too early. And I know I did mention to me a few times, like Firefly was another one. There's tons of them out there. I think there was another show called Revolution. It would start off really well and it got cancelled second season. Tons of great shows get cancelled way too early. And I get it, it's money. That's what it comes down to. But it's just a shame because I was looking forward to watching that. I love it when I know I've got like a show to watch and there's like 5 or 6 seasons of a show and it gives us the full story and they give us like the story from start to finish and it got everything on screen. And when it gets cancelled, I'm just like, oh. But it is what it is, and it is what it is. But that's what I've been watching again this week, the Cowboy Bebop. But anyway, that is the show over and done with today. If you enjoyed the show, please do give it a like and check out the rest of my movie-related content as well. And let me know your thoughts on my picks today of best Christmas movies. Are any of these on your list of best Christmas movies? Let me know your personal picks too of best Christmas movies. What are you going to be watching this month? What have you watched already this month, Christmas movie-wise? And maybe we can even go into that genre of, a Die Hard. I think a Die Hard can work as a Christmas movie and a normal movie as well. I was talking to Philip in the community about this past week. Any of them type of movie, if it's got Christmas involved in some form, some shape or form, let me know your picks if it's something you enjoy. But it's been a really fun-packed show. I've really enjoyed today's show. As always, I love the Saturday movie show. It's always a fun show to do. But anyway, we will be back for the last show of 2021 next week, next Saturday. And on the Monday following, the 20th of December, we will have the Christmas quiz. And that'll be another fun episode as well. But thank you very much for watching, as always, ladies and gents. And as always, I will see you next time.